New series finale.
Yeah.
New tripod.
Yeah.
New camera.
Ooh.
Chances of it all going wrong?
New man.
Well,
no, you're not a new man.
Well, we do have a regeneration in this story.
You're perfect the way you are.
That's the sloppiest thing you ever said, and it's completely unnecessary. Welcome back, everybody!
Hello.
To Doctor Who Review. I'm Chris.
I'm not Chris.
It is, in our time frame, late April, and we have, in this past week, quite admirably so, with a lot of patience, watched Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords.
What do you mean?
Because we watched Utopia, and then I wanted to watch the next one. And then we watched Sound of Drums a few days later, and you wanted to move straight on to Last of the Time Lords. But each time we had other commitments that meant we had to just put it back.
Dang it!
But we would have box setted these three in one go, I think.
Yeah.
Because, holy heck.
Holy Heckington.
Holy Heckington McGee. Minnie, can you stop licking your... Yeah, you're on camera, love.
Have a bit of poise.
A bit of decorum.
My God.
She thinks she's a cat. She's licking her paw and rubbing a paw on her face.
She's a cutie.
Fantastic. In this series, it's a video podcast, so don't be confused that you can't see us. You can sort of see us. We talk about episodes of Doctor Who we've watched. We've been binging it for years. You know what the
We've
deal
been
is.
here for years.
I've seen Blood Control for years.
Sorry.
What's the first episode of the three we watched?
It is. What's the name of it?
Well, you got the Wikipedia article up for references.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Wait.
let the side down. You're a terrible
Wait.
production coordinator.
Wait. Utopia.
Yes, Utopia. Starring many an actor, obviously David Tennant, Freem Rajaman, but start off, John Barrowman returns.
Jean Barrowman. It's really cute.
To Drew.
The Doctor and Martha are in Wales.
Well, specifically Cardiff.
Cardiff.
They stop off for a rift top up.
They're charging the TARDIS.
Using the energy of the rift. Boomtown.
And the Boomtown.
Boomtown sequel.
And they...
It's at least a 5.
They,
And that's a cupboard.
Stop. And, Jack,
At least
obviously...
10 people watching this will get that reference.
Are you going to do that every time I saw it?
Yes. Give me a glass.
Thank you.
And I'll shut up.
Jack, being in Torchwood, very, 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 very close by, hears the sound of the TARDIS and is like... Which
we didn't see in our binge, but happens in the last episode of Torchwood Series 1. He hears it, he grabs the hand in a jar, and he legs it.
Handed it.
And rift activity's been abound in the finale. There was... time spilling out into Cardiff. There was Abaddon, like a cousin of the beast, stomping around, all 100 feet tall and whatnot. So the Doctor comments on that. That was quite nice as well. The Doctor's like, oh, it's been active lately. It's just a passing comment. It's like, yeah, the finale of the spin-off show happened a few weeks ago.
That's crazy.
But yeah, Jack hears it and legs it.
He's like, Doctor! It's really funny. He's like a kid running for the school bus. That's what I think of when I see him do that. It's quite cute.
But the TARDIS sets off. It's like, nope.
Does the Doctor kind of hear him and is like,
No, the TARDIS reacts real badly and gets the hell out of there.
This guy means trouble.
Yeah, because the Doctor says later on in this, the whole try to get rid of you because you're wrong. It just senses that you're not right.
You're a wrong'un.
Yeah, we learn. It's great to see that Jack just clings to the side of the TARDIS, and the whole thing ends up flinging it to the end of the universe.
Do you think that he died constantly whilst being on the TARDIS?
No, I think he held on until they arrived.
Yeah, but there's no oxygen.
At the planetary.
It's gas. There's no oxygen.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was relatively quick. Point is, we find out after that the Doctor, and we found out through this episode, the Doctor knew, or at least pieced together what happened to Jack in Series 1. Meaning that when he buggered off with Rose, he gave it at least a moment's thought and was like, nah, and left. And I find that retcon a little bit
Yeah.
Yeah, I preferred the idea that he just didn't know. Do you know what I mean?
Because I mean, he's not got to that point in his character arc that he's cold yet. At that point,
The Time Lord Victoriously stuff hasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
The specials year of him getting arrogant hasn't happened.
So it doesn't really make sense for him to have done that.
It also means that the Ninth Doctor did something really horrible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
Oh right, for the incarnation of the time.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense.
I don't like that. But
move, Doctor. Dick move.
I like the idea that the TARDIS is freaking out. Do you know what I mean? Like the TARDIS is going no, and I like the idea that the Doctor's like, it's just in my DNA as a Time Lord. Like you shouldn't exist. Like you break the laws of time, and the laws of the universe, and I can't help it. Like I feel uncomfortable. Like, do you know what I mean? He makes that thing, and I like the fact that Jack calls him and the Time Lords out now, saying that's prejudice, and he's like, yeah, I suppose it is. It's like, yeah, you're racist. You're racist against people brought back to life by the Time Vortex, disguised as a lady calling herself Bad Wolf, rewriting genetic level atomic structures so that people can never die.
If he'd have done it to himself on purpose, then I would understand that kind of, but you didn't. It was an actor, Doctor.
You're going to have to unlock your thing. I don't know what I'm doing here.
You know what you're doing.
I honestly don't know what I'm doing.
Oh my god, what are you doing?
Lucy's got an iPhone 11 and it confuses me.
Right, well...
I'm an 8 boy. I'm an 8 boy.
I'm mashed potato
I'm
boy.
mashed potato boy.
Can you just hold that 1 second?
Bloody hell.
Please. I'm working at the same time.
So they arrive...
It's a pandemic, you know.
So they arrive on... Does it have a name? Yes, the planet Malcasario. Oh no, the planet Malcasiro. Where they arrive, I
thought it was Earth.
Nope. No. Humanity has gone out. Basically, it's the furthest into the future the Doctor has ever been.
Yeah.
The TARDIS has ever taken him. Even the Time Lords don't have any records of what's happening here. But they find this planetoid, and they find 2 types of people living on it. A bunch living in a giant colony, keeping safe, and a whole bunch living in the wilderness and the quarrylands. Yay, quarries! Called the Future Kind, which in itself is a myth. Who are cannibalistic, tribal, violent, hammy as hell.
Hammy as heck.
The way the Future Kind are shot and the way some of them are performing it versus the way how others are performing it means that they are a kind of laughable, hilarious element in this episode.
Yeah.
Which sucks because the bit where they stop at the gates and that one guy is like, hungry, human, and all that stuff, that's freaky. Like, that's really freaky. But you've got, like, one actor, for example, there's a lady who looks like she's been plucked out of a Tim Burton sketchbook with giant frizzy hair, and she sort of looks like Christopher Walken in Sleepy Hollow.
Oh my god, she does!
And she's playing it so big that she draws my attention in every group shot, and I just piss myself laughing. It's like, this is the wrong choice. Someone, whether it be the choreographer, the director, like someone really needed to go, okay, this is the vibe the Future Kind need to have.
Yeah.
Because I can say this because I'm a panto actor and I don't mean it in the strict sense. It's very panto.
Yeah.
Yeah. With glimpses of genuine horror.
Yeah.
The Future Kind person that is disguised in the base. Keeps revealing her teeth at the end of every shot, really just silly. To remind the viewer that she's a Future Kind.
Ooh, I'm a wrong.
Like the way that's done is just like so stupid. It's so obvious. It's like you're telling the audience, I'm a baddie. It's like, you did that at the end of the last scene, and the last scene, and the last. Like, I'm
here to make you question why nobody's noticed me yet.
Yeah. Although it does make you wonder how she gets in, because one great idea is when they rock up to the base.
Show me your teeth.
Yeah, the guy's like, show us your teeth! And of course, Jack, the Doctor, and Martha have no idea why. They figure it out, obviously wants to get in.
It's extremely amusing.
Well, let's face it, John Barrowman's expression's funny, because he sort of plays it as like, okay! Like, he's going with it. The Doctor just gurning. But Martha, Freema, bless you, it's the funniest shot. It's so sweet. It's so like whether she did it on purpose or by accident, it is perfectly ridiculous, and it's great.
I mean, if you were in that situation, what would you do?
Exactly. Very true. What are the humans in the mountain doing? What are they doing? Because that's the whole point. Is humanity has survived in some aspect, and this is like one of the few remaining planetoids where humanity lives.
Yeah.
Albeit some in the form of, the legend says that's what we'll become. We'll become the future kind. We'll become cannibals and murderers. That's what we're all going to be.
Well, maybe you will.
We refuse to believe that.
But maybe you won't.
Say the people in the mountain and the hills who are... What are they doing?
They're kind of almost like refugees.
Well, they are. They're from different planets and different colonies.
They're
all holding up here for safety.
They're waiting in the base of a ship, we find out.
Well,
that is going to...
It's sort of like a silo around it, isn't it? Like the ship's in the middle. It's like Thunderbird. It's like International Rescue Tracy Island or something.
Almost like a base.
Yeah.
Like I just said.
Yeah. No, you said they're in the base... Oh, you meant in the base for... I thought you meant the base of the rocket.
No.
I was like, no one's in the rocket.
God, if everybody fit in the base of that rocket, you'd fit loads more people.
Get on in! Right, we're going to chuck each of you into the furnace like cold, keep the fire burning. Let's go! Rah! So what's the rocket for?
I was trying to think of a joke, but I can't think of it. To take them to a whole new world.
Yeah.
I feel like this should be a musical.
Nope.
Episode of Toy Story. No.
Chan, if you're blue and you don't know where else to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Though, another colony years ago.
Oh yeah, that too.
Investigated an unknown area beyond the reach of all the current technology that's available or salvaged.
Yeah.
A fabled utopia, somewhere where they would be safe, that was bountiful. Maybe it's a new world, maybe it's a ship, maybe it is a star system, but there's something out there where everyone is Well, that's the thing.
I never thought it could be a ship.
That's the thing, like, they don't know what it is, but suddenly in the last, like, sort of 20, 30 years...
Everybody's talking about it.
They've been getting a ping. Something has been showing up on the equipment saying, come to Utopia. So... for the last, 20, 30 years, whatever, they've been getting that rocket ready to launch, trying their best. But there's not many of the best and brightest around to do that work, except for two. We have the wonderful lab assistant Chanto, played by Chipo Chung. In her first role, she reappears in Series 4 as a different character.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she plays the fortune teller who's with the trickster. The one with the beetle in turn left.
Oh!
Yeah. So she gets to play a really, really memorable, adorable goodie in this one, and a really boo-hiss, nasty little baddie cameo in the next one. But Chanto's wonderful. Great design, brilliant really, prosthetic, really proper
Makes
cute.
Me think a little bit like Mantis from...
Guardians 2. Like her mannerism, she's very sweet, very naive, very innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately working for... although neither of them knew it, someone who's not got people's best intentions at heart.
Yeah, not very nice.
Well, as far as we know in the future, because of course at the start of the story, she's working with her best friend and someone who she sort of has romantic feelings towards. It's implied later on. Professor Yana, played by actual magical twinkle in human skin, Derek Jacobi. He's so warm in this, isn't he? He's so wonderful.
He's a bit snappy, but...
Oh yeah, but he's very much like a kid. He feels like a character out of a magical kids book or out of a Dickensian novel.
Yeah.
Like the sweet older man who's, seen some shit, but ultimately he's optimistic. He's trying to make everything work out for everyone because everyone's depending on him.
He's such a sweet old man. He's seen some shit.
Yeah. No, but you know what I mean? Because Professor Yana is a great character. He's a human scientist who has, as the Doctor points out, when they get there, because of course, the moment they realise what's going on, the Doctor's like, yeah, I'm absolutely going to help them get the ship going and get them to Utopia. Because
roll my sleeves up.
They don't know what Utopia is. No one does. But that's the point, isn't it? It's like they're striving forward to explore and see.
Exactly.
And he even harkens back to the Ark in Space. He describes the human race as indomitable.
It does. And you got excited at that moment.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, look! And I was like, did you get it now? Did you get it? Did you get it? There's no green bubble wrap, but did you get it? Did you get it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a wonderful setup. So the premise of the episode is really quite light, and it felt, we were talking about it, weren't we, when we were watching it, it's the closest to a classic serial, really.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Like this would have been like a 3-parter.
Yeah.
A 3 or 4-parter in the John era. It feels like a Pertwee sort of story. Or a...
McCoy, I thought.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Made me think a little bit of Paradise House.
Which one?
With the tribes of the blues and the reds and
The Red Kangs.
yeah,
The Blue Kangs. Yeah, that's Paradise Towers. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe just made me think.
No, hang on. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's the Happiness Patrol. No, that's the next series story set in a dystopian tower block style setting.
And we all know where that ended up. Right?
God, I love series 25 and 26. Yeah, it's a very straightforward story. You think that, but what's so clever about Utopia and why it works so well is it's one thing disguised as something else.
Yeah.
Utopia makes you think it is a story about the ticking clock of we've got to get on this rocket and get out of here.
We gotta get out of this place
before the sabotage of the future kind allows them to break in and kill everyone. Like that's the plot of the story, with the B plot being the Doctor and Jack finally reunite and come to terms with what their relationship means and where they stand now.
And then they
what the episode is actually about is only fully revealed in the final 5 minutes.
Yes.
Which structurally, what the episode actually is part 1 of a 3-part story.
But that's not it's not considered that though, is it?
Well, no, it's considered
like,
Utopia
officially.
And then Sound the Drums Off the Tabloids, but it is. Come on, it's a 3-part
100%.
finale.
100%.
But that's what's wonderful is that like you don't go into Utopia expecting it to be part 1 of something. So that's like the first surprise. Like, yep, you thought this was just like, oh yeah, sort of straightforward, lower budget episode before the 2-part finale starts. No, it's part 1 of the finale. Because obviously the reason why anyone's listening to us give our thoughts on Utopia here is to talk about what Utopia actually ends up being about. Professor Yana is a wonderful character.
Yes.
His interactions as Professor Yana with the Doctor and co are brilliant. I absolutely adore the whole conversation about Hermits United. We meet up every year and talk about caves and all that stuff. Like the way that you realise how ingenious he actually is.
Yeah.
He's incredibly modest. He knows his worth. He knows his skill, but he's not looking for recognition. He would, however, like I think he sort of says like he says like it's nice to have someone understand what I've done. It's kind of nice to feel appreciated on that level.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, you actually do understand what I've done. That's really cool. But he's not like looking for fame and glory. I mean, he's even intending to stay behind to make sure that the rocket goes off without a hitch.
So he's
not going to go to Utopia. He's going to stay there and die. And Chantho has also decided she's going to do it despite his protests. She's going to do it too.
Yeah, she won't leave without him. Yeah,
because she wants to make sure he's not on his own, which is so sweet and so wonderful. And she deserves the world, and I hope nothing bad happens to her. And oh God.
But he's plagued, isn't he, by a sound that in his head that he can't get rid of.
He says he's heard it since he was a boy, and he was found like I think the way he describes it was like a naked boy found on the shores of this thing from a wreckage of some kind, and he was taken in and raised and sort of eventually found his way here. Like this was where he ended up in his life, but it's. It's very bullet pointy.
Yeah.
Kind of like John Smith a few stories ago. Because there's that glorious moment. I mean, we get the great conversation between the Doctor and Jack.
Yeah.
Which really reaffirms what's great about Torchwood and his character development since then, and what his relationship is with his friends in that show and his teammates.
Yeah.
And the bit where he's like says to the Doctor, he's like, "Can you cure me?" You realise the reason why Well, it reminds you the reason why Jack wanted to find the Doctor is because he wanted to be cured. He doesn't want to be the man who can never die. He wants to die one day.
Yeah.
The Doctor admits he's like, nope, there's nothing I can do, really. And it's like, oh, shoot. And then the revelations happen. Because Jack's power, as it is, comes in handy in this story a lot, in terms of helping everyone.
Yeah.
And Martha's wonderful in this, like her relationship with Chan, the conversation where she gets her to swear by not saying Chan and though at the start and end of sentences, respectively. Because you realise it's not a species thing, it's a cultural thing for her species. It's done out of politeness. It's like a sign of politeness.
So cute.
God, that scene is amazing. She's adorable. I hope nothing bad happens to her. But that's when Martha, looking after Professor Yana again, because she's a doctor, and she'd want to make sure he's okay, notices the fob watch.
Yeah.
He has a fob watch, and that brilliant moment where she turns it over, because she's like, no way, and she turns it over, and there's the Gallifreyan writing all over it, and it's like...
That gave me goosebumps a little bit.
And it's Freema's response, it's the music, it's Murray Gold's music in that scene, that slow build, like spiralling sound.
Yeah.
But also Freema's face when she sees the other side of the watch is just that like she's just, oh God. Because she suddenly realises like the weight of it. Holy crap. The face of Bo said way back in Gridlock, you are not alone.
Yeah.
Like he's not the last Time Lord. She's found the other Time Lord.
But she
He's here.
She has no idea.
Oh yeah, she's
what he is.
And neither would the young viewers watching the show at this point for the first time. They'd have no clue.
No.
And to be fair, the Doctor doesn't, but you can tell he's suspecting it. Because his thought is, the moment she says it, she's like, isn't that good? He's like, depends which one. And he's kind of casually trying to throw it off as like yeah, we'll get to it, while they finish with the rocket launch.
Yeah.
But you can tell that he's already thinking, if it's someone who's run and hid from the Time War, if it's someone who's gone to that length...
Yeah. It can only be one person.
Oh, it could, like, the likelihood of it being someone good is very, very slim. And the list of bad Time Lords does tend to be quite specific.
Yes, indeed.
Tell them what happened to the hairs on my arm when that scene...
You had proper goosebumps.
Holy shoot. I've not watched this for about...
Holy shoot,
man. The last time I watched this story was when I watched it for Doctor Who magazine about 6 years ago. It's been a while. So... I was surprised it affected me that much, but I think it's just because it's so well delivered.
Well, if you think about it, this is, like, very eye-opening after having seen the classic era. So you've got a different connection to it now. Even though you've seen those before, maybe, those previous episodes before, you've not watched it all together. I
mean, same for you. You didn't have that version of the Master, like the previous versions in your head, really, when you first saw the story, did you?
No.
Like, you might have seen him in those Tom Baker repeats you watch with your dad and stuff, but even then, that's not many. The Master's all crispy in most of his Tom stories, so... Do you know what I mean? It's... And that very brief use of Delgado, the voices coming out of the watch...
Yeah.
And the Ainley laugh in the background is just like... The build-up, and the idea that Yana's never really thought about it. And it's only because Martha has sort of pointed out the watch a bit, is he now going, yeah, what is this? And the voice in it is, of course, finally going like, oh my God, finally! I'm in here, you idiot! Like, open it up!
Where have you been?
Where you been, bitch? Open me up and receive my majesty, mother lumper!
I want to dress for the occasion!
By goes the kindly Professor Yana.
As he opens the watch.
And the Master returns to Doctor Who.
Dun, dun, dun.
We, oh my God. The thing is, and I know obviously Big Finish, expanded media, blah, 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 but
we're not...
What's both brilliant and upsetting, which actually makes it more brilliant about this scene, is that we are robbed of more of Derek Jacobi as the Master.
Yeah.
Which just makes how brief his turn as the Master is, all the more effective and special.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I've not been interested in listening to any of the expanded media about his incarnation. Set prior to this, because I'm like, no.
Well, surely there isn't much to do, because he's
You'd be surprised.
human.
Big Finish. We love to make stories fit in places.
That they don't need to be.
I mean, of course, in the Time War, it's Derek Jacobi, and he's got a beard, because of course he has a beard. Because it's the Master beard.
Master beard.
Eventually, in the Big Finish audios, Missy will probably have a beard, just because all the Masters have a beard. I'm surprised one of the covers isn't a Photoshop beard on top of a crispy Master.
Well, the way they could do that is if she were like a pharaoh with Egyptian.
Maybe. Even Sacha Dhawan, in his first appearance, he's barefaced, and then when he pops back up in part 2, obviously having been separated from them for a little while, he's got a full beard. It's like, the Master's got to have a beard.
He's not the Master without a beard.
In this case, his beard was Chantho. Because out he comes, and...
Out he comes!
And he bloody murders her! He electrocutes her, and after reprimanding her for not setting him free, as if she knew or had anything to do with it.
But she gets a shot in before she dies.
And it's great, because Chantho's a wonderful parallel with Nurse Redfern, with Joan.
Yeah.
We're seeing like that happen again. But imagine if he came out and he was immediately like, I hate you, how dare you leave me in there, you pathetic insect. It's like, whoa! Yeah, he electrocutes her to near death, and then she bloody pops a cap in him before she dies.
She does.
But he snags the TARDIS, locks the Doctor and Jack and Martha out, regenerates, making a whole point like if the Doctor can be young and strong, then so can I, setting up that we're about to get a Master for Tennant's Doctor.
Yeah.
Like, Delgado was Pertwee's perfect mirror opposite, the yin to his yang.
Yeah.
Ainley was wonderful, but like he was never really the Master for a specific Doctor the same way Delgado was.
Yeah.
Which is why this is kind of special that, yeah, though we lose Jacobi very quickly, we get Sim. John Sim. Let's have a glass of milk and bitch about the industry. Who the f is John Sim?
Comment below if you know what that's from.
John Sim, fresh out of Life on Mars. I'm basically playing the Joker.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like it's a high energy Master who is very, understandably happy to be free all of a sudden. Like, he's got a TARDIS. He escaped the Time War, he's trapped the Doctor in an inescapable situation, and he's buggering off.
It's just saying, he's got a couple of screws loose.
Yeah.
Of his sonic screws.
Hello! Like the very quick post-regeneration scene, and then bye! And then off he goes. Right,
I'm a girl! No, wait.
Wrong one. Not yet. Twice. 3 times.
A lady.
Hey.
See, it's a musical.
There he is. And the lady is 3 incarnations from now for the Doctor. Anyway. But yeah, I love the cliffhanger to Utopia is wonderful. The rocket's going off. The base is shaky as sin. The future kind of pouring in, and they're on the other side of the door. Jack and Martha are barely holding it closed as the Doctor tries so desperately to stop the Master flying away and stop the TARDIS from leaving. And it doesn't work, and they're stranded, and the episode ends, and it's like, oh my god.
It's the first time you really see the Doctor's face going, oh no.
Yeah, like, What? Also, you are not alone. Yana, nice little touch. And the way it's done in the thing, you see the digits of the readout on the screen for the instant messenger from between the buildings, between the rooms is quite nice.
I forgot about that.
What happens in Sound of Drums? That's the Time Lords. Maybe you.
Here come the drums. Here come the drums. The Doctor manages to finagle Jack's
vortex manipulator. Which is nice as well, because it's been busted since he got back to... since he teleported apparently off the Platform 1. Not Platform 1. Satellite 5. No, not Satellite 5. Whatever it's called. The game station. The game station. After he left there and he ended up in 1800s Earth. his vortex manipulator was buggered.
Yeah.
And it's not quite worked the same way. And he made a point of that in Torchwood as well, didn't he? That it's sort of, it can do some stuff, but not everything that it's meant to do.
Yeah. But the Doctor manages to finagle the manipulator and get them to present day London. And Martha and Jack are like, oh my god, what if the Master, does something crazy with the TARDIS? And the Doctor's like, well, I did a bit of jiggery pokery, and you can only go between the two places that the TARDIS had last been.
Yeah. So
the end of the
universe
and present day London.
Yeah. In an adventure we didn't see, because at some point apparently before Utopia they popped back to Earth. So fair enough. Actually, that makes sense, because we technically canonically last saw them chasing after a thing. Well, three things. Well, three things and a lizard in Blink. So it could have been Blink. It could have been whatever. The point is, they've been to Martha's timeline recently, and that's the lock. Where has the Master been hiding?
The Master has been hiding in plain sight
since the Runaway Bride, the first mention of it.
Yeah, Martha hears the voice and she's like,
That is a wonderful moment at the end of Utopia, isn't it? That whole I know that voice. You're like, wait, hang on, what? What?
What'd she say?
You spend a whole week between episodes going, how did she know the voice? What was that about? Yeah. Well, you don't, because the trailers on BBC One were playing for...
Yeah.
Vote for Harold Saxon. Yeah. Mr. Saxon is the Master. The Prime Minister of Great Britain.
Prime Minister.
The newly elected Prime Minister of Great Britain.
Which is not a good thing, I can tell you now.
When did he arrive? Can you remember when did he actually arrive, timeline-wise?
Is it like...
They mention it a few times.
8 months?
18 months
18
before present day. Around about the same time that his campaign started. And there's this wonderful scene, because he's got a wife, he's bloody married. Lucy Saxon, played by Alexandra Moen, who does a phenomenal job across these two episodes.
Yeah. Very good face acting, if that's...
Oh, she does a lot without saying anything, doesn't she? She is met in Downing Street, the newly rebuilt Downing Street, which they make a point of. And yes, the cabinet rooms had like a lick of red paint, and it looks really shiny now. And that was a nice touch. But she's met by the journalist Vivian Rook, played by Nicola Nick. I'm sorry if I get your name wrong, madam. Vivian Rook, a name that Russell will use again later in Years and Years. And that is such a great scene.
Yeah, she seems very much...
Yeah, I'm going to do a piece about the woman behind the throne. Let's do a piece about hair and fashion and this, that, and the other. And tells Tish to bugger off, because Tish is working there now. Her PR job has gone from Lazarus's lab to the Saxon campaign.
She seems very much like a Rita Skeeter kind of character.
Yeah, she seems like an incredibly schmoozy... Like, if OK Magazine had that, schmooze vibe... That's what she's going for. She's like, I'm going to do the photo shoot, and 20 minutes, that's all it'll take. And you can see Lucy Saxon's she's flattered. She's like, okay, all right, go on. When the door closes, she's like, right, your husband's a load of bullshit. He didn't exist.
He doesn't
exist.
Danger.
Your husband doesn't exist, and he never existed prior to 18 months ago, and it's kind of obvious, but no one seems to have noticed it. It's weird, because the evidence is, in plain sight, and it's... They make a big point of that, don't they? She's one of the people who's like, I know this is wrong, and the fact no one's talking about it, even though you can find this information out, is bizarre.
Yeah.
Because we also learn that Saxon came to prominence with the Archangel network, which is basically a mobile phone service.
Yeah. That
started in the UK, and his whole push for, communication and networking with people is what set up the idea of he's a very people person. He's about bringing people together, and that's what his campaign started on. All this, that, and the other. And he's got 15 satellites around the Earth now, and a load of people use Archangel worldwide as a mobile network. And
that's definitely not going to be a bad thing later on.
Yeah, well, in the story, Archangel's a subliminal messaging broadcast that has basically programmed everybody to just like Saxon, even if they don't know why, and B, just let him get on with things and not question it.
Yep.
Which is genius, because it's it's subjugation without anyone knowing.
Yeah.
At all. Like, they all voted for him en masse. And yet Martha, when asked by the Doctor, can't name any of his policies.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what he ran on. Even Jack's like, yeah, I voted for him. It's like, what did he run on? It's like, don't know, just everything he said sounded good. It's like, interesting.
Just good. Yeah.
And they loop in the whole, the sound of drums, the four rhythm into it all, and that's part of the broadcast. This thing that Yana apparently heard in his head since he was a child, that the Master then reaffirms, like, can you not hear it? Like, it's a call to war, it's a drum to war. You're like, alright, calm down.
Alright. Chill your bean.
This is one of the scariest episodes of Doctor Who, for my money.
He's just such a psychopath.
Not just because that, the invasiveness into the life of the Jones family.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. Earlier in the series, we were talking about how it just sort of makes it look like Martha's mum's a bit of a dick, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas by this point, it's like, nah, this has been stoked on purpose. She has been made more and more paranoid on purpose to get all the pieces in place for when the Doctor inevitably returns with Martha. I think this is the most personal attack that the Master's ever done on anyone so far, in terms of setting up a trap. Because he's screwed around with, like, you know, he's kidnapping Adric and that. Cherry picker. And
whoa!
Yes. Boners all around, everybody!
Bonus!
And, you know, obviously, like...
the bloody, what's its dad? You know, that was a bad one.
Oh, Tremas, absolutely, yeah, with Nyssa, but this is the first time he has done, like, this calculated thing of, I am going to completely destroy the companion's life at the flick of a switch the moment she tries to stop me.
Yeah.
And he spent 18 months laying the groundwork. Tish got the jobs she got, even the one with Lazarus, because of him.
Yeah.
Francine's paranoia has been stoked because of him. The only thing he oversaw was Leon going for a break with his mates.
Oh, it's his wife.
Yeah, no, but they're out visiting a friend.
Yeah, that's right.
Which, you know, Leo, it's a bit of a shame if you like Reggie Yates, because he's barely in the show, really. But, you know, I like that thread. I like the idea that he gets away because Martha's phone call makes him go, like, what are you talking about? He's obviously thought about it and be like, do you know what, I trust my sister. Like, let's do what she says. And as a result, they don't get taken.
Yeah.
What happens to them next, we don't know, but obviously it's reset by the end. So.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think.
Yeah. Oh my god, his plan is nuts. What are the
Reggie Yates, what else has he been in?
Oh god, he presented CBBC for years. He's done documentaries for BBC Three for years.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah.
What are the Toclafane, Boo?
The Toclafane. Well, the Prime Minister of the UK is saying, you know, we're a bit behind in the times, so we've been contacted by an alien.
The government's always been
race.
Closed about this, but I'll be transparent.
Because our country, our world needs to move on and up in the universe. Sorry. He says that this alien race is going to appear at this time tomorrow or whatever.
It's 2 minutes past 8. And their promise is basically sharing wisdom.
Sharing technology and knowledge and all. Knowledge.
What?
Knowledge.
That's so niche.
Is it? Sorry.
Yeah. The Toclafane are in their garage with all their books and their Lamborghini, but what they love more than their Lamborghini and all their books, and their bookshelves rather, is the books, because they like knowledge. And they're going to share that knowledge. Oh, Jesus.
So...
By the time this video goes out, that'll be a million years ago.
Yeah, God. Turns out the Toclafane are part... Well,
we'll get to the true nature later, but they're
something bigger.
They're completely tied in with the Master.
Yeah.
In Third Doctor era classic style, the Master's up to something and he's allied with an alien race, and you're like, right, what's happening here? How are they benefiting? What is this? Like, what's going on?
But the Doctor and Martha and Jack are watching this press conference that the Master's telling everybody this is going to happen in Martha's apartment, in Martha's flat, sorry. And the Doctor's like, what the Tocklefane? What is this?
Yeah, we sort of learn that it's a name. We never find out what it is, but it's a name from like Gallifreyan bedtime
Folklore,
stories, basically.
yeah.
It's like a boogeyman name.
Yeah.
And he's obviously just using it, because why not?
Because he just it's almost like it's off the top of his head kind of thing.
I love their design. Just spheres. That's all they are. And then
Flying
horrible
spheres.
bloody blades come out of them.
Yes.
Yeah, Vivian Rook meets a horrid off-screen death with that great bit where he just like opens the door and then closes it, just letting the screams play out.
He's such a psycho.
He
is such a psycho, and it's horrifying.
I think that's why
Johnson plays it so well.
I think that's why this finale as a whole is really freaky as well, because it's a guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a suit, it's not a puppet, it's not a CGI creature, it's not an army. It's a guy.
But also, it's like we don't know anything about this character, but we do.
Yeah.
We know he's a psychopath, but he's never been this bad. I mean, it's as if like all of his mentalness has been like
his
like
class
trapped
and decorum has gone.
Yeah, completely.
Like he's not playing it like the suave supervillain anymore, or the slightly camp but regal supervillain. He's not even playing it like the smug like sort of the smug creep like the Eric Roberts incarnation anymore.
Yeah.
Like he's played it straight for 18 months and now he's like, yay! I get to do the thing I've been planning! Woohoo! And he's just enjoying every second seemingly.
Yeah. It's kind of like he's gone, I've tried to do this in a suavey kind of way. Yeah. Letting people walk over me just so I can climb on top of them. And he's just kind of gone, well, screw it. I'm going to go absolutely crazy, see where that goes.
Full-blown Totso.
Full-blown Titso Totso.
Titso Totso. Tits out, tots out. No, wait. Put the tots away, because someone's got their tits out, and it's just unbecoming. Unless, of course, it's the mother of the tot and they're breastfeeding.
Unless it's the Tocklefane.
Unless it's the Totlefane. Titlefane.
What?
So the Doctor, Martha, and Jack become basically Britain's most wanted.
Yeah.
After a broadcast is put out, like alerting people that
they need
to be brought in.
Yeah.
That whole scene is great. We finally talk to the Master, because he didn't actually physically see the Master until the ending of this episode when they're at the airfield. That's like the first time he sees him in person. He sees him he hears his voice. He sees him on the telly. He hears him on the mobile. And then he finally sees him when he's at the airfield. But, the Doctor and Martha and Jack have to go on the run. That conversation's wonderful. We find out what happened. The Master was resurrected to fight in the Time War. Because basically of how ruthless he is, they assumed he would be a perfect warrior.
Yeah.
And maybe he did fight for a while, but at some point he shat himself and was like, nope. Like, I am not dying for them.
Yeah.
I am not doing this and dying for them. So he fled, and he admits it. He was scared.
Yeah.
He was scared. So he left. He used a chameleon arc. He turned himself human, and that's how he hid. That's how he avoided the end of the war. He doesn't even know how it happened. Like, the Doctor has to tell him that he was the one who ended it. And the Master sounds almost jealous, in a way, because he's like, he even says like that power, like killing two whole races. You must have been like a god.
Kind of looks up to him, almost.
Yeah, it's horrid. And I love the fact that throughout all this story, the Doctor's entire thing isn't like, I'm going to defeat you, I'm going to take you down. It's, you need help. You need to come with me.
We've only got each other.
Yeah. He's trying to reason with him, essentially, the entire time.
Yeah.
We learn a bit about the Master's origin. Like, we see Gallifrey for the first time properly in the modern series. Like, Gridlock set up the idea of what it's going to look like when we do get round to it, but here we see the Citadel. Murray Gold's score for This Is Gallifrey. This beautiful suite that is used whenever they're discussing their home world and everything. We see a cheeky Time Lord. We get a big old collar. And the Doctor sets up the idea that Time Lords, Gallifreyans at the age of 8, the ones who are chosen, that's when they go to the Academy. That's where they go to become Time Lords.
Yeah. And
one of the first things they do is they stare into what's known as the Untempered Schism, like a break in the time vortex and the space-time continuum. A visual, physical connection to the fabric of time. And it's meant to sort of be shown to you to make you understand sort of the scope of it all. It's, you know, its majesty, the danger, the beauty. Like,
if you don't behave, you're going straight in there.
That is not what they do. It's not the naughty step. But
oh no!
What?
He said something really awful.
Oh, then don't. Oh god. But the Master apparently looked into it, and it drove him mad.
Yeah.
This is news to us, obviously. Having now watched the classic series, there is no allusion to this. Hell, the first time he meets him, he doesn't even recognise him. But that's probably because he went by a different name by the time they meet each other in Terror of the Autons. The classic series did very gently retcon that they had known each other as it went on. But in his first few adventures, he's like, and you are... You know what I mean? It's like,
but it's funny that Martha's like, what are you, like, brothers or something? He's like, ew, no.
You've been watching too much television.
The Doctor's way of going, ugh!
There was the show's way of going, no, get that out of your head. We know it was a thing that was going to happen, and we know that it was alluded to in the Fox reboot if that had gone ahead. We're not doing that. Shut up. They're not brothers. But yeah, it's so it's sort of setting up the idea that, at least in his earliest incarnation, this thing, this little sensation in his head, this drive, these drums.
Yeah.
That's where it began.
Yeah.
Which sort of loosely allows you, the fan, to interpret that maybe like they hadn't heard it since then, and it started to come back in their two recent incarnations.
Well, the Doctor said that it either inspires you,
yeah,
or it drives you mad. I think that's pretty harsh to put on an 8-year-old.
Well, I think it did both to the Master, basically, didn't it? It was like, yeah, I think it's been done to give the Master a clearer motivation in this post-Time War version of the show.
I think
where things are of a higher scale, and like, you know, the worst thing that could ever happen to the universe has happened. The Doctor stopped it from getting worse, and the consequence of that is something he has to live with. It feels wrong to suddenly, if you're going to bring the first Time Lord in the show aside from the Doctor back at this point, for him to just be like, waha, I'm up to, no, but you know what I mean? Like, waha, I'm up to evil schemes, waha. Like, you really do have to set up the idea of, no, the Master has also got to have some kind of bigger
trauma.
Thing. And even though, yeah, he's doing an evil scheme, and it's all about setting up this and the other, it's driven by this thing that is in the fabric of who he is. And it ties back to Gallifrey, and it ties back to you know, like their heritage and their legacy.
Yeah, I think it was a good move to do that, purely because otherwise you would be questioning the Doctor, like, why don't you just kill him?
Yeah.
Because now you know that it might not be his fault that he's like that, and the Doctor.
Yeah.
Is desperate to maybe make him realise that.
It feels more responsible for him now as well, because it is just the two of them.
Yeah.
So the Doctor's plan to get in close and just see what they can do involves turning 3 TARDIS keys, toying with them so that they have a perception filter, like the fob watchers do.
Yeah.
I think he sort of suggests the TARDIS as like a low-level perception filter. That's been implied before as well. The idea
that nobody notices it.
People kind of ignore it. Like, they see it, but they don't really
do anything about it.
Although I prefer Eccleston's explanation in Boomtown. So you see a big blue box like that in the middle of town centre, what do? You pass by it, now shut up. It's just like, yeah, fair enough.
That is true.
the perception filter means, and Martha and Freeman acts this bit brilliantly, but like I love the way they describe it. Martha describes it as like it's like I'm trying to see you. I know you're there, but I just can't see you. Because they set up that whole thing as well, didn't they? Of like you can see them if you want to see them.
Yeah, I was going to say
if you really want to see them, you can see them, but it still takes some effort. And they demonstrate that brilliantly when they're walking past those lads after they've left, and Jack and the Doctor like basically almost rub up against them both as they get out of the way, and the lads don't bat an eyelid or react at all.
Yeah.
So we get this brilliant scene at the airfield where the Joneses, like the three kidnapped Joneses, Tish and Martha's mum and dad, go on Martha's dad as well. But she's like, is there someone else there with you on the tap call? He's like, yes, go! Like that bit.
Yeah.
That, when I said before, this is like the scariest for me, it's that like 5-minute sequence of the Joneses like getting rounded up and the police opening fire on the tiny little car that Martha is driving.
Yeah.
With her, the Doctor and Jack in. Like, that's terrifying. Like, that is so scary. Like the bomb in the flat and everything. Like, it's just really scary. And I love that Martha completely takes charge in those scenes as well. She's like, get in. Just get in the car. It's a trap. I don't care. Get in. It's like, yeah,
But
sure.
you know what's kind of cool that I liked about that? It's only something small, but the Doctor's not in control there. She is.
Yeah.
So
Like, he doesn't fight against her there either. He's just like, yeah.
She could very easily have gone, no, I'm going to go and get them.
Because it could also be his guilt as well. Like, he's like, yeah, like I am the reason you're all in this situation. So he's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell Martha what to do. Like, she has every right to be angry at me.
Yeah.
And yeah,
she's like, reverse.
When the Master's parading the Joneses into the vehicles that can go to the Valiant, aka basically the helicarrier from Marvel Comics.
Nice one, Russell.
That is horrible, and it's even more horrible later when you realise that the Master could see them.
Yeah. Well, you can see on his face, can't you, that he's
sort of looking off. And
he can like sense that they're there almost.
Yeah, but then later on he says like, "Do you want us to think a perception filter's going to get one over on me when he's on the Valiant?"
Yeah.
So you're like, so he knew they were there. So that's why he made a big show of like teasing them and like, picking on the Joneses as they were being escorted because he knew Martha was watching.
It made me feel really uncomfortable because watching them in the room whilst they're doing that, this is the first alien.
Yeah, so President Winters, like the American president, because we're just going all in on fictional politicians at this point in the show. Takes charge because basically, the United Nations and the Unified Intelligence Task Force, like they have, I think they're still called UNIT at this point. They don't say it in this; they just call them UNIT. Because UNIT up until this point are the United Nations Intelligence Task Force. But then someone in the comments write what it is below if you know, because I don't off the top of my head. But there was a thing where basically the United Nations, not long after this, were like, can you not refer to them as that? There was like a copyright thing or something.
Oh.
Yeah, after all these years. So from series 4 onwards, because obviously we have a 2-part...
What, in real life?
Yeah, so we have a 2-part unit story next series with the Sontarans. And that's the first time they're referred to as the... although actually no, I think it's series 2 of Sarah Jane is the first time they're referred to as the United Nations... instead of United Nations Intelligence Task Force, they're the Unified Intelligence Task Force.
It's quite a minimal change, but
it's minimal, but it makes sense in this one that they're the United Nations Intelligence Task Force because it means that a summit's been had like in New York or whatever. Yeah. And be like, right, here's what's happening. President Winters is going to take over. Like Prime Minister Saxon has just taken over. This isn't the right way to do it. He's being a bloody class clown. I mean, little do they know he's gassed his entire cabinet, which is a brilliant scene. That is so good. It gave birth to like one of the most popular GIFs in the internet history.
Giving
the thumbs up with a gas mask on. And
it's also kind of like that meme of everything burning and is going, this is fine.
And also him watching Teletubbies in his spare time, continuing the Master's weird passion for
kids TV, watching the clangers. So cute. I very much appreciate Doctor Who knowing these little references.
Like, when you first saw that, you're just like, oh, that's kind of funny. Now it's like, oh my god. He's like, well, while I'm back on Earth, let's see what they've been doing since.
I mean, clangers was so much better.
Well, that was the thing, isn't it? He spent like, months locked up in that prison back in Sea Devils and that, so he was just watching the clangers on his little telly set.
Yay, clangers!
The clangers probably got him through some of his darkest days in that cell. He was
hasn't it done that for everybody?
I'm going to watch Bagpuss. President Winters gets executed by the Tocklefane on live TV. That's really creepy. The fact that the Doctor's plan basically is just to get close enough to Saxon to get the key necklace over his neck, so that no one will pay attention to them for just a moment as they like drag him out of the room or whatever. Because by that point, you think they're going to get away with it. They found the TARDIS; it's on the Valiant, but something's happened to it.
It's been cannibalized.
Yeah, we learn across the story that it's now a paradox machine.
It is
sustaining a paradox. We don't know why. We'll find out in a little while. Yeah, the whole Master's basically addressed to the world, like very Legopolis, peoples of the earth, please attend carefully. Essentially just announces, like, you're all screwed. The Tocklefane are unleashed through a rip in the fabric of space-time above the earth.
A literal rip, yeah.
And then just casually he's talking to his wife, he's like, should we decimate? That's a fun word. Destroy 1/10 of the population. So on day one of this invasion, 1/10 of the people living on the planet are killed.
Yikes. The
Doctor is then zapped with Lazarus technology and the Master's laser screwdriver, because he'd have Sonic. And he's Lazarus. They're 100 years of his sort of 100 years of age basically are forced onto him.
Yeah.
Like his body is aged 100 years. Series 3's obsession with age makeup for the actors.
Hey, do you know what? It looked good though.
It looks good. I mean, it
does look like an
Lazarus, old John Smith, and now 100-year-old Doctor.
Sorry, can I just point out that the laser screwdriver? I really love that addition because it's almost petty.
Yeah. If the Doctor can be young and strong, then so can I. And now
I'm going to have something better than yours.
Well, everything. He's got a companion, although this time a wife. You know what I mean? Like he's got the TARDIS. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh my god, you're just rubbing it in his face.
Yeah.
Jack gets shot dead. Obviously temporary, but that's the point because the Master says the best thing is I get to kill him again in a minute. You're like, oh my god. Because Torchwood aren't there, he sent them off on a team, the team off to a mission in the Himalayas or something.
Yeah,
so they're not even in the country. It's brilliantly done. It's so brilliantly done.
It's like, oh my god, he's actually thought of everything. How's he gonna get out of this one?
I wonder how he dealt with Bannerman Road, or if he even did. Because I guess he wouldn't necessarily know, would he, about Mr. Smith and everything.
Mm.
Then again, I imagine Sarah Jane just started some kind of haven where people got protected in the house or whatever. She probably turned it into a safe house for people in the area. K9 at the front door. Pew pew. But yeah, shooty dog thing. Forget the shooty dog thing.
Never forget the shooty dog thing. Never forget him.
So the Doctor whispers something to Martha, and using the vortex manipulator, she gets off the ship, leaving everyone, a family, the Doctor and Jack behind.
Bye bye.
And that's the cliffhanger.
Isn't it? When before? Oh no, can't remember if it was before or after. I said to you, it feels like those episodes were more than 2 episodes. I was
so much happens.
So
cocksure that it doesn't feel. Oh, you mean when we revisited it? You're like, I'm sure it was more than.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just really well scripted and paced and directed.
It's so intense. You can't
Colin Teague does a phenomenal job directing that 2-part in particular. The pace of it and Maury Gold's music, the franticness.
Yeah.
Like the music when the Doctor's getting forcibly aged is horrible. It's like really uncomfortable to listen to. It's like offensive to the ears. That like it's like really pounding. You've got those like it's horrible, and on purpose, and it's great for that.
It feels very adult. These episodes, so it's kind of like, no, this is serious. This is
it's
the Doctor might not get out of this one.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the cliffhanger isn't surprise monster. The cliffhanger is everyone is doomed, completely. Everyone is doomed. 1/10 of the Earth is being killed as our credits roll. Like there's no going back.
Yeah.
Well, there is, but we Superman the movie that in a little while.
Yeah. But the at that point you're like, oh God, there's no way they're going to get out of this. There's nothing they can do.
Well, what's wonderful is the ticking clock the ticking clock and the MacGuffin to reverse everything is set up in part 1. You just don't realise it yet.
Yeah.
Because the Tocklefane can appear briefly, but they come through en masse when that like tear in the sky appears.
Yeah.
And that's because that's the time, 8:02 in the morning, that is the time when the paradox machine goes into effect. That's when it begins to do its work.
Mm.
So, part 2/3. We get Avengers Endgame at the beginning.
We definitely do.
1 year later. What's the Master been doing?
The Master has pretty much turned the world into a battle-ready...
Mighty Max playset.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way of describing it. He's accomplished something that he's been trying to for hundreds of years, dominating a planet, and now he wants... it was always his plan, but he wants more. He wants the universe. So he's gonna start a great war.
Well, he keeps calling it like the Second Time War.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's not the same, but he's aggrandizing it. The idea of this is Gallifrey's legacy. Like, this is Gallifrey now. This is it. And I'm in charge of it, and I rule over it, and we're going to prove to everyone that we're not to be messed with by destroying loads of planets and civilizations.
And it's kind of like, they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
They're not trying to, like, take over. They're just...
There's obviously been attempted uprisings to stop him, but he just retaliates. Like Japan, the entirety of Japan is burned away.
Oh, really? I don't remember that.
Yeah, they reference it twice. Martha talks about it, and Lucy Saxon, I think the Masters Lucy Saxon talk about it. Like, they do horrible stuff. Like, countless millions have been killed off in this last year.
Yeah.
Fields and old cities and villages have been turned into silos for basically these nuclear sites to launch warheads into space.
Yeah.
Each one of them's got like black hole converters in them so that they can... Basically, they're not just going to launch from the Earth and hit something. They're going to launch up with the propulsion and then basically vanish and arrive and blow up another planet.
Yeah.
Like, he's calculated exactly where it's all going to go. People are forced to work in the camps. People who aren't forced to work in the camps are making the weapons basically live in constant fear.
Yeah.
Tocklefane patrol. Like, they just fly everywhere. There are statues erected of the Master all around the world. As Martha said, he even had his face carved into Mount Rushmore. Or was it Tom Milligan? So Dr. Tom Milligan... Dr. Thomas Milligan, who's Martha's ally, she, after 1 year, arrives back in the UK.
Yeah.
She may have been in the UK at some other point during the year, but she's arrived back now.
Yeah.
She's travelled the world. Apparently, before she went away, and the Master noticed this, because he brings it up later, the Doctor told her something. He was whispering into her ear before she vanished, teleported down to Earth. And the legend is, at least to everybody who's not met her yet, what they've heard is that Martha Jones has been wandering the Earth, building the weapon that will kill the Master. Stone dead. And it seems to be a thing that's been laid out. Like, it's unit as well. It's unit technology.
Yeah.
So it's possible that this, maybe not for that function, but maybe it was. That's what this was. It was a weapon to kill a Time Lord or something like that. And its parts are scattered around the world. And she gets back to the UK and specifically settles with Dr. Milligan on commenting to Professor Doherty, played by Tom Ellis is Thomas Milligan. Anyone who's a fan of Lucifer, the DC Comics show, he's Lucifer.
Is he really?
Yeah, barely recognise him because he looks so young in this.
And I've never watched it.
Ellie Haddington does a great job as Professor Doherty as well. Brilliant characters. Using her help, it's like, oh, am I going to help you finish building the gun or whatever? It's like, yeah, but that's not why I need you. Martha, basically for personal reasons, is like, I want to know what the Toclafane are.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to know what they are, because all we know is that they kill.
And they've only been...
One's only ever been felled once.
And that was during a lightning strike.
Yeah, like a lightning storm in Africa. One was downed in the lightning, in the thunder.
Lightning and the thunder.
And the thunder, yeah. And so they, using Professor Doherty's tech, they lure a Toclafane to this like warehouse, and they zap it with the exact same voltage.
Yeah. What
follows is so glorious, because as Martha is finding out what the secret of the Toclafane is, it's intercut with the Master talking to the Doctor about it as well.
Yeah.
Because the Doctor figured it out a long time ago. What are the Toclafane do?
You know those people that were on the ship to Utopia?
The skies are full of diamonds. Oh, bless you, cute little boy.
Yeah, it's them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're humans.
Yeah, it's the thousands of the tens of thousands of humans that were bundled onto the rocket to Utopia. They have been turned into this. And it's sort of... It's sort of implied that the Master gave them what they needed to become this. But it's also kind of implied that this is what happened while they were just out there in the dark. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Utopia was nothing. Or it was something once and it wasn't by the time they made it.
Yeah.
And the Master showed them the way. Now they are basically all floating heads in life support systems inside tiny weaponized tanks. Oh, look, it happens to everyone eventually. They're sort of like Cybermen and Daleks rolled into one.
Yeah.
They're an upgrade for survival, and they're a creature inside a weapon. The difference between the Cybermen and the Daleks is Cybermen kill for domination. The Daleks kill because they believe they have the right to be the only ones left standing. The Toclafane kill for fun.
Yeah. Not the doctor, I shouldn't say that. That guy, so what was his name? That doctor that Martha's with.
Oh God, I said his name a minute ago. Dr. Milligan. Tom Milligan.
He's like, why'd you do it? And it's just like, because it's fun.
And it starts laughing.
It's like,
so he puts a bullet in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the Doctor figured it out ages ago. But this is where Martha realises the TARDIS, of course, had been trapped, so it could only travel between the last two places, so it could only ever go to the ends of the universe. The only times the Master ever took Lucy on a trip in the TARDIS, because he obviously wooed her.
Yeah.
Like there might be a bit of some of his classic mind control going on, but he has wooed a vulnerable person and used her to help boost his own image, and as is implied in this episode over the last year, has become very sexually aggressive towards her in their spare and private time. Which again it's never outright said. It's all through her face, both performance and makeup.
Yeah, she's got bruises and
and he's still very aggressively grabbing at her and. Yeah, because we've never seen the Master be lecherous like that before as well. So it's really sort of...
Oh, he's gone full villain.
Yeah, I mean, I think he snogs Grace, doesn't he? When she's all evil briefly in TV movie, I think. So like gives her a big snog or something.
Ugh.
But it's just like this is real. This is rough. This is horrid. And yeah, he took her there, and that's when Martha realizes, because they were obviously it was trapped between the two. So what the paradox machine has done is it's opened up a rift at the end of the universe, allowing the Toclafane to come back. They're going to kill everyone just because it's something they enjoy doing. It's like the first bit of fun of feeling they've had in forever. It's just murdering.
It's
and
just
turning
blood
it into
sport
a game.
for them, essentially.
And they're all not individuals anymore either. They're sort of like a hive mind.
Yeah.
Like they all have their own voices and personalities, but they're all like one brain.
Yeah.
Because it's not the little boy that they're talking to, but it remembers her talking to the little boy back when they were at one point all the little boy.
Yeah. Because they recognise her, don't they, immediately?
Yeah.
Because it recognises her, sorry.
And that's the thing too as well, it's like, why would you come back and... Hang on, if you come back and kill everybody, doesn't that mean you won't exist? Because like, they are the eventual descendants of the human race.
Yeah, but that's where the paradox...
That's what the paradox machine's for. It allows them to exist and kill the past without them risking their own existence. It's horrid. And you realise for the first time, it's not like the old master schemes of like, I'm going to team up with these guys and we're going to do this, that and the other and it's for both of our benefits. I'm riding on their coattails. I give them the stuff they need and then I benefit and they benefit and maybe I'll betray them later. No. The Master's completely the one who benefits from all of this. He just happens to have found / made an ally that will go along with it.
Yeah.
It's horrid. What's Martha really been doing?
She has been spreading the story of the Doctor around the world. Because, I mean, the scientist that they go to about the Toclafane,
Professor Doherty,
she betrays her.
Which she anticipated. Yeah,
because they have her son. And
or do they? Like, for all she knows, he's dead.
Yeah. Exactly.
They're using that as leverage.
And so she tells them that Martha's, there and she's, where she's gone now.
I love the fact you can tell through her performance that she almost doesn't want to tell them. She's like, "Can you kill him?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's only when she sort of sizes Martha up a bit and is like, "I don't think you're the type to pull the trigger."
Yeah.
Is when she makes the decision of, no, like I've got to do what I've been told to do. I've got to be a mole. I've got to report anything I hear. Whereas, like, I think if she thought Martha was ruthless enough to actually do it, she wouldn't have reported in. Yeah.
So Martha gets taken in.
That scene's creepy as well. It's like a quiet street, and it's horrible. And also the whole like the Master's here, like he never walks the earth. Like the idea that he stays in the Valiant's basically become his palace.
Yeah.
And him actually showing up on the surface of the planet is so rare. But yeah, she gets taken up after Tom gets shot. Tom tries to protect her when the Master's going to kill her with the laser screwdriver. He runs out and gets murdered and bloody vaporized. And he's gone.
But when she's captured, the Master's like, "Throw your bag on the floor," and he shoots the bag, which has the gun in it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, "Oh no, all is lost," and the Master's like, "Yeah,
boy," and then he's like, "No, do you know what? Gloaty gloat time. I'm going to take him to see the Doctor," because earlier on he did another broadcast to basically like try and get Martha out in the open.
Yeah. And
in it. Because briefly the team up there, the Joneses and Jack and the Doctor all tried to make a break for it to get the Master to basically hold him ransom, hold him hostage.
Yeah.
And it works for the most part. I mean, Jack gets shot up again, but the Doctor gets hold of the laser screwdriver. And, that's gross as well, where he's like making the different staff member like give him a massage and then is like sort of teeing up that they should like become friends with another one of the female staff, and you're like, oh my god,
you are gross,
you are creepy as hell. So like, but this, like you said before, this is this is what happens when he finally gets his way. We've never seen it. We've never seen him be the lord and master over something for more than a few minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just getting creepier and creepier. And yeah, like the Doctor can't. Well, he won't kill the Master, but he can't do anything to him because it turns out the bloody laser screwdriver is isomorphic. And it's like, yeah, do you remember when the TARDIS was isomorphic? Yeah, that would have been handy when the Master nicked it, wouldn't it? The isomorphic controls, Sarah. It's like, yeah, too late.
Why isn't that on permanently?
Yeah. Well, when it's gone on coral, you need to give it a while to reboot. A couple of incarnations at least. So the Doctor keeps threatening the Master, like, with this thing of, like, you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, and then the
Master's
Master's
like, I have something to say to you. The Master's like, nope, shut up, you little piss flap. Like, nope. And then on that broadcast, he tortures the Doctor by, like, essentially biologically aging him to match how long he's been alive.
Yeah.
At this point in the show's canon. Then again, considering how the Doctor's apparently lived for like 1 billion incarnations at this point, it would explain why he turned into Dobby.
He does. It's pretty good CGI though, because you can tell it's David Tennant.
It's not bad. The Blu-ray upscale for it as well doesn't look too bad. I was worried that was going to look really bad on the Steelbook version. Really? But it doesn't. It looks quite good.
Yeah, it does look good.
But yeah, but again, it's just great because it's just extra reinforcement that, guess what? The Doctor ain't saving the day on this one.
Yeah. The
Doctor isn't how we get out of this. And also, imagine being a kid watching this. Well, you'd be terrified. Like, the hero of the show, like, is so incapacitated by this point.
He's being tortured.
He's kept in a bird cage. It's horrid.
Well, at first he's kept in a doghouse, isn't he? And he rings a bell.
There's like a kennel outside.
Oh, it's horrid.
He's wheeling him around to Scissor Sisters, which is a great opening to the episode as well.
I can't decide whether you should live or die.
Which makes me laugh, because like one of the opening lines of that song, one of the actual opening lines, has the F word in it. And I'm just like, the Master listens to songs with swear words. And of course he does. He's edgy. He's an edgy boy.
Well, I wouldn't put it past him since, he's killed people.
Your Lord,
I think...
your Lord and Master, rules from on high. Playing track 3.
I don't think swear words
is on the album, actually.
I don't think swear words is where he,
draws the line. Yeah, I mean, he pushes for genocide. He's going to allow a few potty mouth words. So what happens when he gets... Oh, but that's what's wonderful as well. When Martha sees the broadcast, her reaction is horror at what's happening to her friend, and then joy, because she's like, he's still alive. Because she now knows this is still going to work. If I pull this off, it's still going to work. Because what happens when the Master's like lording it over her? Minutes before they're about to go into the first launch of the weapons,
and they're going to celebrate the launch with the execution of Martha. And whilst he's giving his whole spiel,
I Can't Decide is indeed track 3 on the album Tada.
Oh my gosh,
he's listening to the album. Do you think he spared Jake Shears and co so that they could make more music? Or
no. No. What are they up to these days, Wanda?
Just haircuts, isn't it?
Lockdown. Anyway, yeah, so he's giving all the spiel, and then Martha just has a little chuckle.
I love that. Freeman plays that bit so well.
And obviously, that would affect the Master's ego, definitely.
Yeah.
And be like, what are you doing? And he's like, what's going on? What are you laughing at?
What's so funny? A gun. Yeah, a gun in 4 parts.
You think the Doctor would tell me to?
Yeah, do you think
to kill you?
You think that that whole thing of you really think all this, that you've underestimated him. You still don't understand him. That if you thought that he would have told me to go and make a thing and then come back here and murder you. It's like, are you a freaking idiot? Because what does she really do? And what happens next?
She spreads the story of the Doctor around the world. She's not looking for the parts of this gun. She's telling everybody what the Doctor's done for them, how many times he's saved them, and he's the only hope of getting out of this.
setting it right.
And she tells them to all think of the Doctor
on a certain day at a certain time, when the 15 satellites will be aligned in the position that they were in when the broadcasts began.
Yeah.
Like the Archangel network is used against it because it's still there. They mention that, don't they? That's why people aren't resisting en masse, because they're all still kind of like being hypnotically conditioned to just let it all happen.
Yeah.
Like they're scared, they know it's wrong, they want to fight back, but they just won't. So she uses it against him by having... It's a psychic thing.
Yeah.
And the trigger for it is the Doctor, who's spent the last year very quietly just tuning into the frequency of the psychic link of the Archangel network.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, I don't really get that. But...
So these satellites have been messing with everyone's minds on a psychic level. It's not just subliminal, it's almost psychic in a way.
Right.
Yeah, it's they've been affecting everyone around the planet for that long. There's that much mental energy attached to it. And it's been projecting X, Y, and Z on them. Making them just not so much compliant, but they don't resist.
Non-resistant, yeah.
So the Doctor's tuned into the, he's got the whole thing about tying with its matrix or whatever. He's tuned into it. That's what he's been spending the last year doing, making it so that part of his brainwave is a psychic connection into the Archangel network.
Yeah.
So when everybody thinks about him, and not just they're not just going, they're not all just going, oh, that Doctor was apparently a nice guy.
Remember that story that
they're all sending him basically all the positive energy
good
that they can.
vibes.
What's happening is he's tuning into it and he's using it to restore himself. Now, yeah, it's a bit sci-fi gobbledygook, but it's no less gobbledygook than other stuff that's occurred in it. There's a logic there to it. So he uses it to basically, restore himself.
Yeah.
And it's that strong, it's worked that well, that even when the Master blasts him, the Doctor's just whoomp, Jesus hand, and off flies the laser screwdriver. And it's the fact that it's the one thing the Master never thought about it. He thought all these other things he planned for, all these other horrid little punishments he was going to use on Martha and her family and Jack and the Doctor. He never once thought that the Doctor's plan to get back to him would basically be to get better and then still just say what he's wanted to say to him all year, what he's threatened to say to him all year.
Yeah. I
forgive you. Because again, the Doctor doesn't want to kill him. He's taking responsibility for him.
Yeah.
It's really, really Sim sells this. I mean, Freem Rajaman really sells the moment.
Yeah.
But then Sim sells the execution of of the whole. It's he's trying to claw through the wall at one point. He just curls him into a ball because he doesn't know what to do. All his ego, all his hubris is just ripped away because he has no. He's a toddler throwing a scared tantrum.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then it's the fact that the moment he's toppled, obviously the Archangel network is down, or at least is under the Doctor's sort of control now.
Yeah.
So the first thing that happens is Jack's right, go destroy the Paradox Machine, as all the Toclafane have been instructed to come to the Valiant and murder everyone on board. So off flies Jack and the guards, who just immediately yep, okay, and off they go with him.
Yes.
Machine guns in hand, fighting off some Toclafane in the sort of the docking area where the TARDIS is being kept, and then they just shoot up the Paradox Machine in the TARDIS.
They do.
Just oozy the living heck out of it, and it works. We're at the eye of the storm. The Paradox Machine is cancelled out, and as a result, everything reverts back to 1 year ago. The year is forgotten. Everyone back on Earth is alive. The last thing that they saw was the broadcast of President Winters being killed. And that's it. Poor guy.
Yeah,
they just breeze past it okay, never mind. But basically only one person, well, two, because Vivian Rook, but only two people died at the hands, or rather the balls, of the Toclafane. Yeah? and the Toclafane are trapped at the end of the universe, unable to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So they're just going to stay there and die.
Ew.
Which is grim in itself. Like, that was the fate of all those lovely, hopeful people in Utopia. Turned into horrible, like, metal flying weapons of death that are just going to go insane and then eventually die at the end of the universe. But everyone on board is going to remember the year that never was.
Yeah.
Including Francine, who grabs a gun and is going to shoot the Master dead. Oh, we forgot the bit where the Master and the Doctor teleport down with the thingy.
Oh, yeah.
They're at the weapons field where the rockets are going to launch. And it's the whole thing of the Doctor really makes that point to him as well of like, the Master's like, I'll just blow up the black hole converters as they are on Earth. If I can't have this planet, then no one will. And the Doctor's like, yeah, I know you way better than you think. Like, the one thing you are not going to do is kill yourself.
Yeah.
And he takes the thing off of him. So they really, which is very true. We talked about this the other day, didn't we? I think you said to me, like, what do you think the Master's afraid of? And I was like, dying.
Yeah.
That's all of his motivation has been to try and stay alive or avoid death. But he clung onto it so hard that he stayed alive even though he was burned up and crispy for so long.
Oh, crispy.
He's hiding action men in telescopes and whatnot.
Yay! Oh, the good old days.
And, so, like, it makes sense. And he calls him out on it, and the Master, like, you can see he's like, he's got me.
It's another one of those moments where he's like, ha, I will get you, Doctor.
Mm.
Well, what about this? Damn it, you're right.
Bugger.
You're right.
Quick, help me reverse the polarity.
Quick, help.
But yeah, so it's reset, so Francie's going to shoot him, and the actress's name, I always butcher it, and I'm so sorry, because she's bloody wonderful, and she was really nice to us in that lift at the celebration, do you remember?
She was, and her eyebrows were not that vicious.
No, they're fierce. Joa Ando, she's wonderful. I mean, the whole, all the Joneses have been great in this story. Trevor Laird as Clive Jones, and Gugu Mabatha Raw as Tish Jones are wonderful. What's she been in lately? I'm sure she was in something lately. I was like, oh my god.
Is she in Casanova? Is she his daughter?
No, I don't think. Well, she might be. She would have been much younger. She would have been way young by that point.
Would she?
Film-wise, she's Plumette in Beauty and the Beast, the remake. The
Duster.
The Duster, yeah.
Days in the sun.
She was not in Casanova, no.
Oh, right.
No, but she was in Black Mirror. Oh yeah, she was in San Junipero. Oh yeah, and she's in Loki. She's coming up in Loki.
Oh, brilliant.
Ravonna, yeah. But Francine in that moment is amazing because you absolutely feel it, and it's the first time in the whole series we're like, "Go on, Francine, kill him!
I think
kill him, shoot him up."
She's a really good character thinking about it because when the Master foils their little plan, he shoots at her and he tells her to say sorry.
Yeah,
she does, and it's horrid to watch. It's
and they have that whole conversation where they all basically talk while they're being detained, essentially, in the boiler area.
They're discussing who's going to kill him.
They're all like, "I'm going to murder him.
I'm going to kill him, so you don't have to."
And a mum and dad basically they've obviously rekindled in this last year.
Yeah.
Do you want any more pop?
No, thank you.
So yeah, it's wonderful, and it's the whole thing of the Doctor is like, "You are better than him. Don't do this." And gets the gun off of her, and the Master's you can tell he's kind of annoyed because that would have been his get out of jail free. Like, oh, regenerate. Oh, girl, what's going to happen now? Oh, la la la. And also that satisfaction of Martha's mum being turned into a killer.
Yeah.
Don't worry, someone else has been traumatised enough to pull the trigger. Because Lucy Saxon snuck a gun and shoots him in the gut.
Well, she picks it up.
Yeah. Was the whole thing I didn't see it. Jack's like, I didn't see her, I'm sorry. And it's like, nope, just, oh god. Doctor goes over and cradles the Master and he's like, right, come on, regenerate, you idiot. And the Master, informed by that conversation they had near the missile field, is like, no. Like, he knows the only true victory over the Doctor here now is to not stick around.
Well, because he doesn't want to be imprisoned by the Doctor in his TARDIS and travel around with him.
Keep me as a pet. And it's like, yeah, well, it worked in Scream of the Shalka. Just ask Derek Jacobi. I mean, to be fair, he was a robot, but anyway. And I've always loved that concept, from Scream of the Shalka.
That's
You're just
very
like,
interesting.
Why is the Master here? Oh, it's not the Master. Wait, but it kind of is. What is this relationship? Like, what is
He's
going
almost
on?
like a little robot butler.
Yeah, but he's still the Master. He's still evil. But it's like, huh? Yeah, I love it. I bloody love it. And they sort of they kind of hint that that's what's going to happen here, don't they? They sort of suggest that that's what's going to be the case.
Yeah.
But he refuses to regenerate. I love the Doctor's like, remember all the good times, the Daleks and the Axon. None of these were good times, Doctor.
No.
He
tried to kill you, man.
He tried to murder you. You know, it's a twist you don't see coming. And Tennant really plays the pain of it all. Like, it's this last connection to his home world. He didn't think he had it, and here it is.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
I mean,
because he lets himself die. He staves off his regeneration, which he does remarkably easily, compared to Capaldi in his finale, because like his whole thing is like he's really struggling to stop the regeneration from happening, and you're like, well, the Master did it quite easy, mate. So what's your excuse? I
don't remember that.
I don't think you saw it, so we'll get to that.
Cool. Makes sense.
The Doctor burns the body. We get a pre-credits Marvel Cinematic Universe post-credit scene of a Gallifreyan ring he was wearing being picked up by a female hand with fabulous nails, and a not so unfamiliar, a not so a familiar cackle, because it was basically being left open to potentially be the Rani. And I'm pretty sure Russell T Davies has said somewhere that he wasn't planning to bring the Master back in his tenure. Like, at that point, he was like, I'm just going to put that there for whoever in the future, if they ever want to pick it up, they can do it.
And
but then he chose to do it in the last story of his time on the show. But I remember when it went out, even me, who at this point had seen enough of the classic series to be aware of the Rani. I don't think I'd seen either of her stories at this point, but I was aware of her. Even I was like, is it the Rani? So there's another Time Lord on that? Wait, doesn't that break the whole point of the story?
Well, I remember at the time, you were like, it's not the Rani. Everybody's saying it's the Rani, it's not the Rani.
Yeah, because it wouldn't have made sense.
And I was just like, okay, I don't know what any of this means.
But it wouldn't have
I like you.
But it wouldn't have made sense because, like, yeah, I like you too. It wouldn't have made sense.
That's convenient.
Yeah, we should get married, like, roughly 11 years after this episode goes out. So it wouldn't make sense because the whole point of this story is that they were the last two. So if there was another Time Lord, I'd be like, wait, what? But I get why they wanted to do that, because obviously anyone who grew up with Doctor Who in the 80s would likely have seen this, would likely have seen Mark of the Rani and seen them team up together, and it's like, okay. But also, it could be Lucy Saxon. It isn't.
It's not.
But it could be. I like that, again, not saying too much because we'll get to it when we get to it, but I like that she gets a PS in the end of time. It feels justified.
I don't remember this.
Jack goes back to Torchwood. The Doctor disables the vortex manipulator, to go back to the settings it had basically in Torchwood.
And Jack's like, oh man.
But I also like that he's like, the Doctor openly just says, like, just come with me, like, let's keep going, and he sort of goes, no, like, I had a lot of time to think over that year, and I was thinking a lot about this team, my family, like, and I.
Also, you friggin' left me, so.
No, but I get the idea that, like, he's gone, look, you've got over your inbuilt Time Lord racism, but, like, and I would love, you get the sense that he's like, I would love to, but this team is my responsibility. They're my family now.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. And obviously, we watched the first one of Torchwood Series 2, and we did a little Torchwood marathon, so, like, you've seen, obviously, the whole him coming back later that night. Because obviously he goes looking for them, they're not there, and it's because they're off pursuing a blowfish in a sports car somewhere. But, the hand stays with the Doctor, which obviously then gets used at the end of next series, MacGuffin. But yeah, the little revelation about the face of Bo.
Yeah.
It's obviously a tease, but it's my headcanon. I like it.
I just love that. Just really love Martha and the Doctor's reactions. Like, no,
Yeah,
it can't be.
And the face of Bo is we meet him 5 billion years into the future. Like the 3 stories he's in are in the far future. So I totally buy that. Yeah, sure, that's what eventually becomes of him. Why not? Like, why the hell not? Do you know what I mean?
I also love. We didn't mention it before. That the Doctor's like, you've had work done.
Yes, you can talk. And also, I don't know if you remember the New Year's special this year, but those lines happen in that as well.
Yeah.
Because he says it to Jodie. He says you've had work done, and she goes, "You can talk." It's like, hey, it's a callback, yay!
Hey, he definitely has.
So that, it's nice. And then the absolute best thing about the finale happens, which is Martha's goodbye, because it's right.
Yeah.
It feels so right for the arc that we get this year. It's sad to see her go well. Like, even though we know that she's going to go because we watched this years ago, it's sad now because it's that appreciation for her, for me, has grown over the years. And doing this marathon of this series this last month has reaffirmed it for me. Martha is a great character. And I actually have an appreciation for her now. I mean, God bless her. She was absolutely tortured. She was put through the ringer, and she put herself through hell to keep him safe or save the world on his behalf. So many times that... And partially because obviously it's the right thing to do, but also because she loves him. Yeah. In a way that he's not ever going to reciprocate. Yeah. And the fact she ends this series with like, I just can't... And I love the way that she says goodbye, because she basically says... Because I love how he goes straight into like, right, so we could go here and do this, or we could pop here and do that. That'd be great. We'll go do that. Always he says like that thing was this thing, whatever's happening in the sky, where it's like oil on water, and he's just painting all these beautiful pictures. Like, let's go and see these things. And she's just like, no. Like, my family. Well, he just looks over, doesn't he? And he sees that she's just stood there. My family lived through that last year, and they remember it. I can't leave them. I can't do it. They've been through hell for us, and it would be wrong. I need to be here for them. And I love that, because he, of course, is like, the guilt of that is already enough for him to be like, I completely understand. Yeah. And she goes, are you going to be okay? He's like, yeah, you know me, I'll be fine. Just travelling. And you can tell that she part of her does not want to go, but her head and her heart are now in one place, and they're like, yeah, this is for the best. And she leaves. And then comes back to tell him a story about a friend of hers who was in a house share with other students, who was madly in love with this one guy, thought about him every waking minute, and he didn't feel the same way. And she kept telling her, get out. Because she was wasting so much time. Yeah. Infatuated on somebody that was not interested in her. And as she says that, you see it on his face. He's like, oh. Okay. And it's like, finally, you ignorant sod. Like, you finally realise. And I love how she doesn't come out of it being like, and all because you keep talking about your ex. Like, she's not like that. She's just like, this isn't healthy. Yeah. This isn't healthy because you've not noticed this is how I feel. And it's not healthy for me to be here because I will continue to perpetuate the myth that this could ever be something. Yeah. And obviously it's nice, like, she obviously has no animosity for Rose anymore, because she sort of sees, like, Jack and the Doctor bond over that in Utopia, the fact that she's still alive somewhere and she's okay and everything. And then in Series 4, in the finale, it comes back quite nicely, because it's like when he's talking, they're all talking on the different network, the Subwave network, and like there's Rose, she's like, oh my God, he found her, and she's really happy for him. It's so wonderful. It's like, yeah. She's definitely over him. Yay! But I love that. And then I love that she takes agency again. She gives him her mobile. And she's like, if that rings, you better get here right away. I love that. She's like, this isn't it. You're not pissing off. I know what you're like. You're not going away. You're not leaving me like you did Jack. I will be in touch. We will hang out. That's gonna happen. It's not the Clara thing of you're my on call. She's like, no. She's like, we will be in touch. We will see each other.
We will be in touch.
But I love that she does that the whole lot. I'll see you again. I think the last thing she says is, I'll see you again, mister.
Mm.
And it's really sweet. And she leaves, and it just feels so right.
Yeah,
it feels so right. And with that, we bid farewell to Freema Rajaman as the co-star of the show. And our newfound appreciation for Martha Jones.
What gets me is the look on her mum's face when she sees her come out of the TARDIS.
Yes, you see Francine through the window just very briefly.
She looks so happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
This was the right thing to do.
Yeah. And we do get to see her again in the future. We get to see her in three more, but two more Doctor Who stories of next series she's in. She's in 5 episodes next series.
I could have sworn she was in the episode with the Doctor's daughter.
She is.
Martha?
Yeah. She's in Poison Sky, sometimes Straction, Poison Sky, and Doctor's Daughter. Because they all flow. The two-parter flows into the Doctor's Daughter, and then she's in what do you call it? Stolen Earth, Journey's End, and then we see her again very briefly at the end of Time Part 2.
So
we also see her in Torchwood Series 2, but we talked about that in the Torchwood video. She's in 3 episodes of Torchwood Series 2, and she was going to be in Series 2 of the Sarah Jane Adventures in
Unit?
No, God. Enemy of the Bane at the end of Series 2, but she wasn't available.
So they
put Nicholas Courtney in it, which we are forever grateful for, which we talked about in the Sarah Jane video. But yeah, now we aren't saying goodbye to Martha completely here on this series. We have got one more Series 3 era Martha adventure. Because up next, one would think from the end of this episode with the Titanic crashing into the TARDIS, which is a great cliffhanger and really bloody loud.
Yep, it really was. It scared the dog. The dog came over to hide her head because it was so loud.
What's next, I hear you ask out there?
Hello.
Voyage of the Damned, the next full episode? No. Time Crash, the Children Need Special? No. What we're going to talk about next are a Series 3 project and something kind of related to it.
The tongue went in my mouth.
Thanks, Minnie.
So big.
Next time on the show, Chris and not Chris are going to be talking about the animated story, Doctor Who, The Infinite Quest, and we'll chat a little bit about the show that gave it to us, Totally Doctor Who. But also, because it's quite short, and we'll only really be saying stuff about it for a little bit, I thought we would double it up. We're going to watch 2 Doctor Who animations. Specifically, we're going to watch The Infinite Quest and 2009's Doctor Who Dreamland. Why now? Because the specials year's got lots of individual things to talk about. I'd rather pair the 2 animated things together and chat about it. Talk about the different styles, different writing, David Tennant's voice acting, etc. So, if you want to join us for the next one and have some thoughts, get watching them. But down below right now, let us know. What do you think of Utopia, Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Lords?
Here come the drums, here come the drums.
How do you think it works as a finale? Though Bad Wolf Parting the Ways is like one of my favourite stories of Doctor Who ever, I think, objectively, this is probably the strongest finale of the modern era.
Yeah.
It's just so good. The stakes are brilliant. The performances are fantastic. It's scary. It's really scary. But who knows? Maybe my mind will change. We've got another, 9 seasons of Modern Who to watch?
700 years of Doctor Who to watch.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
We'll see you very soon. I'm going to get up and press the new button on that now to turn it off.
Yes, do you want me to hold your drink?
Yes. And could you hold the dog?
A stipple. Man, come here.
Come here.
Come here.
Come here.
Come on.
She's not moving. She's like, nah, I'm having it.
Oh, she never does this. Come on.
Minnie, come on.
She's like, no, you're going to trick me into doing something.
Come on, Baba. Come on, you little milky men.
Milky men.
We call her Milky Min because she's like the colour of a Milky Bar.
It's like the Milky Bar kid.
She's the Milky Bar Min. She's strong and min. And only the min is... I'm going to stop singing before we get copyright claimed.